Grandmama used to pray, oh Lord, please save them from the evil snares and all the dangers that entangle. Yea, though they walking through the valley of the shadows, just prepare and make them fit for every battle, because right, I know they bound to come, and I know they bound to fall, but in your bounty, Lord, preserve their beautiful. Right, we still survive and offer grandma's prayers, surrounded by the jungle and the lion's den. Tread light, cause these traps is inconspicuous. They hide right in plain sight, thinking we don't see them when they linger. Look right beneath the surface, then leave a trail of corpses. Crisis, prices, your life a disposable commodity. Like living in this fantasy, conditioned to believe that the system even cares whether selling CDs or walking or driving or reading. Look, they don't need a reason. It's just you breathing and being black. When it's such a pretty fall, it don't seem like we falling at all, at all. It's just a GMO dream, where things are never really what they seem. Please cue the violins, tell them just to play me something pretty, cause this gritty city got me screaming bloody murder. So they got me screaming. This gritty city got me on some. Look, get your hand up on my pocket. Distraction, so lazy they use the same tactics. Like condom with some trinkets, just don't let them get to thinking. That light bulb gets a blinking. You know niggas and ideas. Oh dear, my dear, you may not know me, but I know you very well. Foresight, they say hindsight is 2020. Well, tell me something, we gotta see that history is on repeat. And maybe it takes the beat and the melody to speak a little louder than the message in the clouds or the essence in the air. I swear, my God is just so clear that a system driven by fear can never give us nothing but more of the same things. Oh, when it's such a pretty fall, it don't seem like we falling at all. It's just a GMO dream, where things are never really what they seem. Please cue the violins, tell them just to play me something pretty, cause this gritty city got me screaming. It's murder. Got me screaming, got me. This gritty city got me on some.
Czars TV, live and direct, Black Power Media. My name is Kalanji Changa. August 5th, 2016, in East Point, Georgia. 14 different officers from 8 different police agencies, including U.S. Marshals and surrounding counties and cities, approached the apartment where 26-year-old Jamarion Robinson was located, his girlfriend's apartment. They came with a warrant and they fired 110 rounds into this apartment. 76 bullet wounds was the result. Jamarion Robinson was murdered, gunned down, shot to death. After they filled him with bullets, they took his body and drug him down the steps like a dead animal and dropped him in the living room. Initially, these officers attempted to say that there was a shootout, but there happened to be a camera. Someone was recording across the street, and they captured the footage from the outside. Inside, bullets were found throughout the walls. You know, we, myself, and a number of other different organizers, attorneys, and a private investigator had the unfortunate displeasure of doing a walk through this apartment about 6 days after this murder took place. Now, we would think that 110 shots, uh, 76 shots, bullet wounds inside of a 26-year-old who was 5'6" and 150 pounds student would have made national headlines. But as we know, there are so many murders by police across the United States anywhere between 1,000 to 1,500 a year. So many cases get swept under the rug. I wanted to present to you, the viewers, footage from when we went through this home, much like the situation uh, from the brother whose picture is behind me, Chairman Fred Hampton, who was assassinated along with Defense Captain Mark Clark in Illinois and Chicago, and being members of the Black Panther Party. They were assassinated during a pre-dawn raid, and 47 years prior to Jamarion Robinson's murder. They did a walkthrough the home, the attorneys, the Black Panther Party, investigators. They took the community through the home to get a visual of what took place. We adopted the same strategy, and we've dealt with so many cases throughout the years that oftentimes you almost forget. Jamarion Robinson's killers, two of them are actually were actually indicted. Two law enforcement officers, one a U.S. Marshal, Eric Hines, and another a police officer out of Clayton County, Georgia, Christopher Hutchins. They were indicted on felony murder, burglary, aggravated assault, and making false statements in connection with the shooting. Currently here in Atlanta, the world's hearing about what's going on with Cop City. At the same time, these officers, the police unions, and their attorneys are trying to get them qualified immunity. The next hearings will be taking place, I believe, the 20th, 21st through the 23rd of June. We need folks to pack that courthouse. We need folks to get this information out and say that, there should be no qualified immunity. The trial for the officers starts October 9th this year, 2023. We want to assist and support the family of Jamarion Robinson because we know there's been a long battle. Today, again, I want to show you the footage of the home and how they lit this house up and how they defiled the body of Jamarion Robinson. On Wednesday, June 7th, I will have his mother, Monteria Robinson, on this platform on RSTV, 4 p.m. Eastern, and we'll go over the entire case. This is the precursor to the case. So we're inviting you to check it out and to share it with your network. And let's make sure that the case of Jamarion Robinson goes viral. This is one of many reasons why we have to say no to Cop City. This is why Cop City has to be stopped, because there'll be many more Jamarion Robinsons, 92-year-old Katherine Johnsons, and so many others if this Cop City plan goes through. Thank you for checking it out. Like, subscribe to our channel, and be sure to share this with your networks. Without further ado, here we go.
As you can see the smear marks across the floor, and then that pool. You have a bathrobe here that has blood on it, and then you had this towel here that had blood on it. The bathrobe didn't have any defects in it whatsoever, so that gave us the impression that he was not wearing that when he was shot. But that's the last thing he was reported seeing in is that bathrobe.
Sitting on this couch,
watching TV.
when, and you saw the ramming of the door. So you see the door here, it was rammed. So they rammed the door, and then, you know, it went from there. Investigator McCall will walk everybody up and walk you through the shots.
So once the door was rammed, you had automatic fire. And it starts over here with number 1, number 2. It comes around 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. As we walk up the steps on the far right-hand side, you'll see the trail of blood, which looks like they drug a person down a step, step by step by step by step by step, all the way till they got down to the end. You see the smear right here, and then you see the final resting place of Mr. Robinson. As we go up the steps, I want you guys to stay to the far left. And as we go up each step, the round counts are going to tick up. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 20, 30, 40. And those are the actual round counts that were shot in this direction. So I want you to pay attention to the left as well as to the right. When we get up here to this landing, I want you to pay attention to the walls. Also want you to look at the walls carefully. Again, you'll see the round counts on the wall. The splatter. Just move this way. Move this way a little bit. In this room, I want you to pay attention to the walls again. Defects on the wall. We have splatter over here that found in here. Right here. We also have shots that penetrated the wall. You know, some of these shots in the room, I have right here. Shot by the I have to check it out. Here's the wall. When you look, you see the outside. So that was a very powerful round that went through the brick cascade of the building and out. I want to bring everybody's attention back into this main hallway, and I think some of you guys can spill over into this room. But it is my theory that this is where he was shot. Sister, if you just come over here a little bit for me. What we see here is the defects of these bullets hitting the wall. Right here, we're at round count 29, 30, 31. Right here, 37. When we get down here, 39, 40, 42. We got 2 42s right here, it looks like, so they miscounted a little bit. And then we have these rounds, which are circular in nature, going through this door. As you can see, it's going through the walls back here, and some of these rounds are ending up in this room. Some of these rounds right here are ended up in this room and out the door. This black spot, as you will see in the video, they threw a bomb up here. What they call a flashbang. And that flashbang is very bright in nature. So it takes away any eyesight that you have. It's so powerful, it can bust your eardrums and disorientate you. And if it's very close to you, just like the baby boo-boo case, where the SWAT team went in the house, threw the flashbang into the baby's crib, that was one of my cases. It blew up his whole chest and his face. Millions of dollars of reconstructive surgery. And it's our position, just looking at the evidence, that this bomb went off right here. And you see this pool of blood right here. So what that says to me is he was almost laying on top of it, like almost like he was already down, and it went off. This cutout right here is interesting in that after recovering the video and listening to it and just going through the round counts, at the end of the video there's a lull for at least a minute, and then there's more automatic fire. It's a 3-shot burst. Boom. At that point, I came back up here, started to look around on this patch, which was soiled. in blood. And what I discovered was you had defects of rounds, bullets coming this way, tearing up the wood on this part of the landing. But you also see where there is no disturbance of this wood right here. You have rounds going straight down in a perpendicular angle, right? So, from my training and my understanding of firearms and the actual direction of travel, for me to recover a bullet that's perfectly mushroomed, it would have had to been shot in a downward angle. It would have had to been shot in a downward angle. And you see several defects here that is consistent with automatic fire. And the blood in this area was so thick, it just bled into this wood. And it just penetrated it very deeply. So that suggests that someone stood over and shot down into this wood. And the crime scene investigators, they didn't take their time. They didn't do a thorough job. If you have these type of defects, if you have these type of defects in the floor, that is critical evidence in what occurred here. And for them just to overlook that or to miss that is just unbelievable. And if it's the GBI, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. One of the other things that I wanted to point out on this wall is two defects going in a downward angle, right? And these particular defects come out in this room. If you look along that wall, opposite this wall, you'll see some markings.
Yeah.
You'll also see a patch of the floor that is cut out. So let's come in here for a minute. So we have B21, B22, B23. And we have this patch, which was cut out when I started my investigation, which indicates to me that a projectile, a bullet came through the wall, embedded into the carpet, went through this padding, and laid here at rest. And what that says to me is that that particular projectile wasn't powerful enough to keep going. That's why they were able to recover it. But it also says to me, if there were other projectiles that came through the wall, they possibly just laid on the floor and they collected them off of the floor, because at that point the velocity had slowed down and they couldn't do any more physical damage to the floor. So those were more than likely collected. But this one was embedded. It may have not came up against a lot of resistance coming through the wall. And if you know anything about construction, you have studs in the wall. So that might be one of the reasons. It may have just missed some of those studs, and those other ones may have went through a couple of studs and just came out and laid on the floor. You could look through those holes. Like if folks out there now go back on the steps, looks through those holes, you'll see this light right here. Typically we'll stick rods through these holes just to show the trajectory. No, these are indicative of bullets going down the steps, not coming up the steps. Right. So these shots right here are indicative of bullets going down the steps, right? They didn't make it down the steps. They came into the wall and ended up in this room. All right? All right. Let's go ahead and proceed back downstairs. As we go downstairs, I want you to pay particular attention to the door and the angle of the door. Because when you watch the video, you're going to see this assault team stacked up at the door. They haven't come in at all. And then eventually they're going to come in. So I want you to look at the angle as we go down the steps. And I want you to determine at which point can you see outside. Can you see clearly? This is their angle. So their angle is here. Their angle is here. You're trying to, when the video starts, they start off right here. And we're talking about 1:30 in the afternoon. 1:30 in the afternoon when I stand at this door to look up in this hallway, it's impossible. It's impossible to make out hands unless I have a flashlight or a very powerful light that is blowing this up. Right? You can't see nothing.
Well, they got lights on the ends of those.
Sometimes they do.
I didn't see.
Turn the hall light off.
And this is how it would be.
Wow.
But just think at 1 o'clock, they still cannot see up there.
No.
They don't know if you're coming down with nothing or not.
And as you come out, just glance back up into the hallway as the light is turned out.
Was this a no-knock
Yeah,
warrant?
but on the dynamic,
They not.
Okay.
Right? So you literally in one of those rooms, you see brain matter on the wall. This is all blood. They started off saying how he was drugged. They shot him up. What they're talking about right there in that last piece, when he's talking about the bullets going downward, there was 2 shots they shot into him as they stood over him after they already killed him. The flashbang, they threw 2 flashbangs in, but one, after they shot him, he fell on top of it and exploded on top of him. So it's 76 gunshots inside him, 76 bullets, okay? Aside from that, so they took his body and they drug him like he was a dead animal down the steps. They didn't carry him. They never called an ambulance. They just drug him down, and we can see, we had to walk past this trail of blood, and they dropped him in the living room. And it's a puddle, that's where they left him. This is 14 pigs. 14, 8 different agencies, and they covered it up. We have video from the outside because, again, the folks from across the way was recording it. Now, some of these cowards, they duck behind the cars and whatnot, but a lot of these, we live in Georgia. And if you don't know what a cracker is, come to Georgia. But these racist bastards, they lit him up. Again, he was 5'6" and 150 pounds. They knew he was just diagnosed as paranoid schizophrenia. When they showed his grandmother, and I believe his aunt, the picture of him, who they came to serve the warrant on, it wasn't even him. He's in his girlfriend's house. So he didn't even live there, he was visiting. They had bullet holes. Luckily, the next door neighbors didn't get shot because there was holes all in their walls too. How many of y'all heard about this case? 1 person, 2 people, 76 shots. The whole world should know about this case.
What was his name?
Jamarion Robinson. Again, these bastards are trying to get qualified immunity right now. They're in court in Atlanta, and we're turning the heat up. When I was asked to speak about police terrorism here, I had another piece that I thought that I would talk about. But I thought that this case right here is an example of why we say police terrorism. We don't say police brutality, right? Because it waters down what it is. These bastards terrorize us, right? So we have to return fire, okay? So again, they're resuming this qualified immunity trial on June 21st and 22nd. And then, like I said, at the end of the October 9th, there'll be the actual trial. So if you all can make it out there, great. But if you can't, make sure you spread the word. Now, how many of y'all watch Black Power Media? Anybody?